अचित,
कहिए।
आज भी कहेंगे आज तो स्पेशल है। आज तो स्पेशल एपिसोड है भाई। हम ना भर भर के बिल्कुल दुकान लगाते हैं, अपने हिस्ट्री 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 करते रहते हैं। मतलब हम लखनवी, हम मतलब मैं। यू टॉक अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स तो तुम पे अप्लाई नहीं करता ये। लेकिन लेकिन वी हैव अमेजिंग गेस्ट टुडे। तो हिस्ट्री भी है और इकोनॉमिक्स भी है और काफी कुछ अलग अलग मजेदार चीजें भी हैं, तो विल ऑफ कोर्स गेट इनटू डिटेल। टुडे वी हैव शुभदा। तो ऐसे जो लोग वीडियो देख रहे हैं उनको तो दिख ही रहा होगा सामने, जो लोग नहीं देख रहे हैं उनके लिए है। टुडे वी हैव शुभदा चैटर्जी। Shubhda is also famous as History Wali on Twitter, Instagram, and in general in life. um, I think I'll first start with, I don't think I've ever told you, Shubhda, this, by the way. So I remember the first time when I met Pansa, Pushpesh Pant, right? I was shaking because, of course, I'm meeting Pansab. So I told him that, the reason I started writing blog was because of the show, Raja Soya Ne Kahaniyan. I said, because of the show, I started writing. Because I realized, there's so much of dearth of information and still sub scattered hai, idhar udhar hai. So what can I do? How can I contribute in the food space? And all this started post MasterChef. So I said, अच्छा ठीक है. So I started writing. मैं ऐसे अपनी थिरकती हुई बिल्कुल ऊपर नीचे वाली आवाज में उनको बोला था, ही वाज लाइक नहीं अरे वो सब तो टीम का था। लाइक अच्छा, तो आई शुड आल्सो थैंक यू फॉर दैट, बिकॉज इन अ वे my writing, exploring food space, started because of that show. Because for me, of course, everything, this is like packed of information. There was a grandness to it, and you got to know so much. And I don't know how you did all the research, and you and your team did all the research, but beautiful. So yeah, thank you for that. Publicly, मैं thank you बोला. From there, so and that Shubhda has sort of worked on many wonderful food episodes, food series, but also movies, right? Movies like Das Dev with Sudhir Mishra, and currently you're also working on other web series and movie with Yash Raj, if I'm not wrong.
Ouch, how did you know that?
My social research is on point. So yeah, so welcome to Naan Curry. और आज हम नान और करी खाएंगे पिएंगे. For people who are interested, what are we going to talk about? We are discussing basically our amazing alcohol, local alcohol, local liquor. एक एपिसोड पहले भी हमने कर रखा है इसके ऊपर, हमारा भांग का एपिसोड भी है इसके ऊपर, so you can of course do the homework there or start here however you like. And enough talking from my side. Shubhda, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I am curious. From economics, you are a graduate of economics. Also lived in India for a bit, went to Kenya, lived there, came back to India, and food happened. How did that happen?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me here, Nantari. Thank you, Archit. Thank you, Sadaf. It's such a pleasure to be here talking to both of you about something that has interested me for a very long time, ever since I was of drinking age, actually. But before we get into talking about Indian alcohols, yeah, I did study economics. I spent most of my childhood outside India. Most of school was spent outside India. We lived in a little small, beautiful little town in West Africa, in Nigeria. And I studied at the local schools there. I had never studied Indian history, Indian geography. मुझे हिंदी भी ठीक से बोलने नहीं आती थी when I came back to India. And somewhere I realized that कि पूरा बचपन जहाँ मैंने कहीं और बिताया है, मुझे इंडिया के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं पता है. Like I barely know anything about India, and I'm going to tell you this. Okay, it's a very embarrassing thing, but I remember I was standing with my mother at Bhopal railway station. Okay, my parents live in Bhopal, and we were waiting for a train. Okay, and utne mein ek train आई which was called the Mangla Lakshadweep Express. हाँ, and I'm telling my mom कि अच्छा ये ट्रेन लक्षद्वीप जाती है. That was how much Indian geography history I knew, and I'm talking about myself at the age of 17. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
17. Now 20 years later, I can say that I know practically everything I have learned about Indian history and geography, and I call myself history wali from the work I've been doing. I've never studied Indian history. I've never studied Indian geography. It's like in college when I came back to India. I did 11th and 12th here, and then I went straight to college in Pune, and I studied economics. And वहाँ पे भी मुझे उतना ज़्यादा पता नहीं चला, because I mean economics is, doesn't really teach you much. Of course you study the Arthashastra, but that's almost like tokenism, थोड़ा सा पढ़ाते हैं. I didn't know too much about India. It was only when I started working. And okay, so the transition happened like because I was in Pune, first of all, और मेरा जो college था Symbiosis, उसके बाजू में ही, very close to it was the Film Institute. And it just happened that I started spending a lot of time with people from the Film Institute and slowly got interested in that world. It's very interesting because when I was a child growing up in Nigeria, in that small town, on our local TV channel, every Saturday, Hindi movies aati thi. Okay?
Okay.
So that fascination was there. And it was also like my connect with India because we are talking about the 90s. There were no cell phones, there was no internet. You go there for 2 years, you come back to India for 2 months, once every 2 years. Like, what? How do you keep connected with where you belong? So, those Saturday Bollywood films were my connection. So there was a sort of attraction to that world. I sort of, knew India. I knew Bombay from Bollywood movies. I remember my brother was only 3 years old when we went there. Oh, sorry, he was just one when we went there. And उसने अपनी पूरी हिंदी लाइफ के पहले 10 साल की पूरी हिंदी फिल्मों से सीखी है. Because so they were very impactful. So I think it somehow worked, and I was drawn to that world. So that's when the transition from economics to the world of entertainment happened. And after that, I did my master's in mass communication. I put economics aside. I did my master's in mass communication, and I moved to Bombay to work in the movies. I worked in the movies for a bit. I worked with Sudhir Mishra on a film called Khoya Khoya Chand. I worked on a movie called Shaurya. And then somehow it just suddenly happened that I got a show to direct. Okay. And for someone like I was only 26 when that happened. I got a show to direct because my producer thought I was ready to direct a show. And she's like, I have this show. You will have to basically travel around India in a tempo traveler with a crew of 10 men. Are you willing to do that? I was like, yes, bring it on. What's the show? She's like, it's called Chakle India. They want to do a new season of it. And basically, you have to document food around the country. Now, इसके पहले मुझे मतलब I was interested in eating, of course. I'm half Punjabi, half Bengali. Food is like a major part of every conversation at home.
Yeah.
ब्रेकफास्ट टेबल पे डिसाइड हो रहा है कि लंच में क्या खाना है, लंच पे डिसाइड हो रहा है कि डिनर पे क्या खाना है. सो इट्स लाइक दैट. But I was never obsessed with food. I was never
Yeah.
interested with food as a medium of storytelling. It was when I did Chakle India that show changed my life because A, I fell in love with food, B, I fell in love with India, and C, I realized that मैं अपना पूरा life, if I spend my whole life traveling around India, फिर भी I wouldn't be able to see all of this country. Honestly, and it's been 10 years. We shot Chakle India in 2011. It's 2021. I've been traveling around the country for 10 years, documenting food, eating, shooting, talking about food. And I still feel ki matlab it's just, like I'm just like a beginner in this space. I don't call myself a food historian because like I don't have a qualification in academia or history. I've written only 2 academic papers about food, but
Only?
yeah. नहीं
Only.
देखो historians मतलब
That's 200% more than me.
no, so but I'm not a food historian or a food anthropologist, not yet. I think I'm just somebody right now who can be called a food chronicler, a food researcher, because this journey has, I mean, even though it's been 10 years, I feel it's just begun, and there's a lot more for me to understand and know before I can start calling myself an expert. It's a lot of information which I've been lucky that I've come across and collected over the years, but there's a long way to go. So yeah, so that basically is my food journey.
Lovely. You know, when
Fantastic.
Archit and I used to work together, right? So again, I don't have a degree in economics. I have a degree in mass communication, actually, in advertising.
Oh,
But
huh.
but when we were working similar or same organization, I taught myself economics. But every time when people ask me, so are you an economist? I'm like, no, I'm pseudo economist because I don't. At least you have two degrees, two academic papers. There was no academic paper. So I taught myself, and the funny thing was I taught myself, and then I started teaching others as well. So I have
Arre
taught
wah.
other people economics. I've taken workshops. In fact, Ajit was one of my prodigy student, is Studante, and again intern as well. I think he also started interning with him.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. So I became pseudo economist, and now when people, because of the book that I have written, right now when people call me I'm like a historian, तो दूर तक नहीं हूँ मैं. हाँ, pseudo हूँ, मतलब ऐसे periphery में थोड़ा सा होऊंगा. So I'm like pseudo everything.
There's this meme, right? Like मैं expert हूँ सब चीजों पे.
आजकल भले भले
हम ही
मैं
expert हैं, हाँ.
हम ही सब आता है.
Shubhra, you know, when we were when Sadaf and I were internally discussing and planning for this episode, you were thinking कि Shubhra has such a breadth of knowledge. हम क्या बात करें? Like we can pick so many small niche topics that we could chat about for hours. But and also, by the way, I have to tell you that just the way Raja Rasoi and Kahaniyan shaped Sadaf's journey into food writing and thinking about food, I was heavily inspired, and I used to love Chakle India with Aditya Bal. So
Yay.
superb show that. And I
Thank
think
you.
NETV Good Times, where it was shown, that was my favorite channel because there was Chakle India, there was Highway on My Plate.
Highway on My Plate, yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to you. I'm glad to be chatting with you now after watching it for so many years.
Thank you. In fact, the other day I realized, and I find this shocking, that Chakle India is still on air. Like they still play it twice or thrice a day, and I'm like, we shot it 10 years ago. But
They
like
do,
if
they
you
do.
go back to those places, they would have changed completely by now.
I was Aditya Bal also did a similar, well, not similar, but documentation show on Epic as well. That was also interesting. I don't know who directed it though.
Yes,
Did you know? हाँ, so that was also interesting because वही 10
I
साल
did.
पुरानी यादें आई थी. Oh, you only did. I didn't. I didn't do homework properly, but that kind of also brought back those other older memories as well.
Cool. So, since we are discussing indigenous or local
Yeah.
alcohols, before we move to the more interesting parts of the discussion, let's define what they are for our listeners. What are these indigenous local alcohols? Are they alcohols made by Indian startups, or are they alcohols? How are they different from, say, Indian-made foreign liquor? What are they?
Okay, so to me, when you talk about indigenous Indian alcohols, the word indigenous is the key defining term. Like it is these are alcohols which have been made by Indians for Indians. And they are traditional. Like to me, they are traditional alcohols which are made across communities across the country. Like one of the things I realized, and I'll be very honest, is when I was doing Chakle India and I traveled around the country, and especially rural India, was that everyone is high. Okay. No, I'm not kidding. Everyone is high on something or the other. Just the name of that alcohol differs. Okay. And we need to be, I think we need to be high because life is difficult. Yeah. So there's no judgment over there. But yeah, so indigenous alcohols would essentially be, the alcohols which are made traditionally by various communities using locally sourced produce, which they have been the same produce they've been using for generations to make it, and using techniques which are traditional, using utensils which are traditional, methods which are traditional, not large scale production, small scale artisanal production. And unfortunately, in most cases, this is illegal. So yeah, that and it's sad that I sort of associate, illegality with indigenous Indian alcohols. I think that is something that we need to somewhere change. But yeah, so indigenous alcohols would be alcohols which are traditionally made by the communities which are indigenous to India.
So that's very interesting that you mentioned that they're illegal. I'm just wondering that a lot of these laws in India, which I mean, there is a gray area in them that society or a small community accepts them as legal, but overall in the books of law it's illegal. Like even a local police officer would let it go because he knows it's a huge part of the community, and he's also part of the community, right? So
Right.
was this the case is this the case with indigenous alcohols across India as well?
Yeah, most times, because see, nobody is going to stop, like even like a local havildar or policeman is not going to go into, a local's house and stop him from making alcohol for consumption. But if that same guy, local guy, is making 100 liters of alcohol, then it's illegal. So that's something I don't know legality, I don't know laws, but there is that, there is this blind eye. Perhaps you can make it for yourself, but if you start to exploit it commercially,
Uh-huh.
it becomes illegal. And
Got it.
in a lot of places, I think there is also another factor, like alcohol consumption is not only for pleasure. It is very ingrained, it is very integrated with cultural practices, with sometimes religious practices. Alcohol is offered to various gods also. It is made, ritualistically for a festival, consumed at that time. And so I think there is this dichotomy, like you were mentioning, that if there is like a local policeman would never, he also belongs to the community, so he's not going to stop his people from doing it. But at the same time, there is like this spotlight of illegality on this entire thing, and you keep hearing cases of, ye pakade gaye wahan pe ye pakade gaye. And then you have all these spurious incidents of spurious liquors where some people died drinking something, so it makes it very, very murky. But my personal experience with all these alcohols, seeing them being made, being consumed, has been largely positive, has been largely what do you say, something that has brought me pleasure and happiness, and has actually brought me closer to the people doing it. It has, helped me understand their lives and lifestyles, get sort of an insight into their cultural practices. So yeah, there is a dichotomy to this, of
Sure.
course.
It's interesting because when we associate food in general, we don't food and beverage both. We often associate like many of the European places and also cultural practices in Europe where they have like wine as part of their food eating, right? Like for example, dinner and wine is just with it. It's just paired. It's not a big thing. I always think like with what you mentioned, it also seems similar because in many of the local indigenous culture, local and I'm not even saying only tribal culture, but many of us, it's just a thing. It's not what you mentioned, right? It is not to get high per se, but just a part of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, I mean, like even where we are in the, Himalayas, we are in a part of Uttarakhand that is very remote, the Tons Valley. And over here we have the local kachi, which is consumed and made the most at the time of the festivals, the melas that you have. And that's when people come together and drink it. And it's sort of like a ritualistic thing, like a devta, like how it is about with the mountains, right? The devtas also live here amongst you, so they also indulge in these things. At the same time, like I've also, for example, I've shot extensively in Chhattisgarh with the Gond, tribal community, and I remember that we were shooting the offering of a prayer, and there was a little shrine created under a tree with clay figurines. And one person, the person doing the puja, actually took out a bottle of mahua and sprinkled it all around and kept it there as an offering to the gods, as an offering to the deities, and then proceeded to do the puja with an agarbatti and fire. So it's part of it. Again, I mean, similarly in Sikkim, where you have the lepchas, they also offer alcohol. They also offer the chang, the local alcohol, to their gods. So it's so so much a part of, like, I think a lot of Indian culture is about, keeping the gods happy. Like the very idea of even the havans we do, like through Agni, we are offering food to the gods. And very often you don't just offer food to the gods, you also offer alcohol to the gods, especially in the tribal communities. And it is in a sense about pleasing the gods. I mean, the gods drank. If you see Vedic literature, if you talk about the shastras, they mention intoxicating drinks. You know, like for example, Sura was a favorite of Lord Indira. So our gods never made two bones about drinking. So I think it is largely accepted, as a cultural practice in communities, especially communities which are still focusing on, you can't say paganism, but like worshipping the elements of nature and the older forms of worship. I'm not talking about the latter religions which cast a prohibitive eye on
Yeah.
alcohol, on the consumption of alcohol and intoxicating.
So, Shubhra, there's a theory that often rituals come in just to ensure that certain behaviors become part of life. Certain behaviors are enforced, and these behaviors could have, rational underpinnings. For example, certain types of alcohols could be good for. They could be social catalysts, ensure that the community is binded together. Some could be medicinal, ensure that the health of the community remains fine. So, i- did you see in your travels and trying out indigenous alcohol, did you see that as a use of these alcohols?
So, okay, in for example, in the eastern states where you
Mm-hmm.
have Handia,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a fermented alcohol. There are
Mm-hmm.
two types of alcohol: the distilled and the non-distilled. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they're all fermented,
Yeah.
and then some are distilled to give you like clear liquors,
Mm-hmm.
and some are had as is in like a fermented form.
Mm-hmm.
So Handia is one of the fermented non-distilled alcohols. For example, Mahua is distilled,
Still.
right? So like it's like, for example, in Mahua, the flowers are first fermented and then they're distilled. So
Correct.
so I was talking about Handia. Like
Hmm.
Handia, I felt was interesting in that sense because they say that the how the process of making it, they use these Ranu tablets, okay, and these tablets have herbs in them, which are
Ah.
medicinal.
Hmm.
So it's evident that consuming that, and the locals believe that consuming that, takes your pain away. Now, I mean, like all alcohol takes your pain away. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't have any scientific or research-based proof of this, but they do believe that adding certain herbs to the alcohol helps with certain things. So medicinal. In fact, I mean, it's not just now. It's a tradition which is many thousands of years old, because
Hmm.
even in the Ayurvedic texts like the Charak
Yeah.
Samhita and all, you
Yeah.
have mentions of soma,
Yeah.
which it is said, gives you strength, keeps you forever young, gives you the power of 1,000 elephants.
Hmm.
So it is, it has its medicinal uses, but at the same time, it also says that one must prepare one's body for alcohol, and then tells you how you must consume it
Yeah.
according to your age, according to your constitution, according to whether you're Vat, Pitta, or Kapha, where you reside, what time of the year it is. So there is like a whole guidebook,
Yeah.
on drinking, which is there in our texts. So one can see that this is a long standing tradition. It's not something that's been invented in the last couple of 100 years. It's been there for a while, and a lot of this still lingers.
Hmm.
Like over here also, like they very very often I'm told कि we add this
Hmm.
root when we are fermenting this, क्योंकि
Yeah.
इससे क्या बोलते हैं, घुटनों का दर्द कम होता है, or we add
Hmm.
this when we're doing this क्योंकि इससे ये कम होता है. So that belief is there, and these practices very often ensure that there is a medicinal aspect to the
Hmm.
alcohol being brewed. So yeah, I have seen that. I've seen that. And fermented drinks are in any case great for gut health. So,
Yeah.
that is inherently there. We'll come back to desi cultures.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was also really fascinated that the Ayurvedic texts have such detailed description of how you should consume alcohol. In fact, it even says that you shouldn't consume alcohol if you're in a bad mood or if you're going through a bad patch in life. We don't recommend it. So
Very cool.
yeah,
That is
amazing.
really very cool.
The book is proper alcohol manual. कि क्या क्या कब कैसे किसके साथ करना. In fact, when we did the episode on alcohol, we realized that there's so much of text it is there, and then it's just available how to drink basically is what you should
How to drink.
refer
मतलब
to in
pros,
text.
हम तो बच्चे हैं यार, हमने तो
हाँ.
अभी मतलब शुरू किया है and we're
Yeah.
like हाँ अच्छा ये खाने से ये पीने से hangover नहीं होगा, पहले hydrate yourself, line your stomach with this. They have it all. मतलब at thousands of years ago they have all the hacks.
Yeah, absolutely. So since there was a medicinal component also involved, did women also consume alcohol? Because typically it's not associated with alcohol is not associated with women or it's not supposed to be associated with women.
Right. No, so this is something which, this is a very interesting question. Of course, because gender coming in here is important. The thing is, what I've seen is that in large parts of East and Northeast India, it's the women who are making the alcohol. Traditionally, whether it's the apong in Assam or it's the handia we were just speaking about, it's the women who make the alcohol. They have the know-how to make the alcohol, and they also consume it. I and again, I was recently reading a study which said, and this study is entirely amongst tribal communities, okay, not urban populations and non-tribal communities, and in that it said that 46.7% of women consume alcohol, okay. So traditionally, this is amongst the tribal communities, and it also studied the age at which they were exposed to alcohol. So while the men started out younger, the average age for women was about 25. They start drinking. This is of course a very small sample size. I think of just about 300 people and all.
Sure.
But it's an interesting study. Like if you compare it to the urban community, you compare it to urban populations, and you see how in urban populations it is looked down upon. A lot of families prohibit the consumption of alcohol, not just for women but for men and women, but especially for women. Like the boys drinking is still regarded with like, okay, fine, ladka hai, piyega. But agar koi ladki pee rahi hai, there are many communities where it's regarded as completely obnoxious, disallowed sort of a thing. And I think that has happened because I like imagine India 2000 years ago. I like from what one reads, one can make out that the consumption of alcohol was prevalent. It wasn't really frowned upon, and then slowly with maybe it got to becoming such a big social evil that the various religions which came up at that time started to prohibit the consumption of alcohol. For example, Jainism, right, which came up about 2,500 years. Perhaps at that time, the consumption of alcohol was so prevalent that you needed a religion to come in and tell you ki mat piyo. And why I say this is because where I stay today, I am seeing this happen firsthand. Okay, so we are in the Tons Valley in Uttarakhand, and over here, people drink, men drink, women drink. Kachi, which is the local alcohol, is made at home, and traditionally it's not frowned upon. Like I have seen women here drinking, but in the last 15 years, you have a bunch of satsangs which have come here, okay, and they have converted a large part of the community here into teetotalers and vegetarians, okay. And why people are attracted to this is because the drinking over here was becoming a problem. We have a saying, I've said it before, which is basically Surya's Pahadi must. So, as soon as the sun sets, the Pahadi is must. So, वो इतना ज़्यादा हो रहा था
हाँ
drinking
हाँ हाँ
that like when somebody from outside came in and said, okay, we'll show you a life which, in which you like a better life where, you are not like taken away by the claws of alcohol, because see there was no regulation, like people were
hmm
drinking themselves left, right and center. And what do you do? I mean, there's, like I told you guys, there's no phone networks here, there's no television, there's no way to keep yourself entertained.
yeah
तो आप करोगे क्या? तो आप बैठ
yeah
के यहाँ पे पी रहे हो.
yeah
So I think as a sort of a regulation, various religions and various you know subsects, I must have prohibited alcohol, uh,
hmm
and which is why it's became something that was frowned upon for a number of years. And again, the coming of Islam also, I think, played a part in this, because it's alcohol is haram. So while the emperors must be drinking and they all have their beautiful elaborate jade cups that we see in museums now,
yeah
I don't think the awam was drinking, because it is prohibited. So the coming in of various prohibitions from religious leaders and across religions, whether it's Jainism, Buddhism, Islam, to some level made alcohol a little evil
mm-hmm.
in general. Like I know, I remember my grandfather telling me he used to smoke, but he never drank. And he told me that when he went, when he got his job, um, he went to his mother and he said that, listen, I have to stay up all night. So can I, smoke, because it helps me stay awake. Okay. I can't believe he actually had this conversation with my great grandmother. And she's like, yeah, you can smoke, but never drink. If you drink, I'll disown you. So
Oh
it's, yeah, it's interesting to see how
yeah
much of a evil this had become.
hmm.
And I think then slowly what happened is with the colonial masters coming in, with the
Yeah
officers
yeah
coming in, and them sort of drinking, it became a cool thing, a socially acceptable thing to do again. So then a certain part of the urban populace which was interacting with them started to view drinking as an okay thing to do, as a socially acceptable thing to do. But one must realize that a large part of, I mean, officers was largely men. It was groups
mm.
of men drinking together.
Yeah
You never would see your meme sahibs getting, and there are no stories about meme sahibs getting drunk on scotch and this and that. So
yeah
again, it sort of, I think, became socially acceptable for men to sit together and drink, sort of like a mirroring of what they saw. But it's oh yeah, and another thing, when you read, you realize that in a lot of cultures which are military cultures, for example the Rajputs,
yeah
there was a certain amount of drinking which happened before men would go to war, because it gave
yeah
them powers.
yeah
There was a certain amount of drinking which also happened in the case of kings who had harems, so the
yeah
alcohols were created, like the Kesar Kasturi, for example, in Rajasthan. These have been created with the intent that the Raja and the king would have enough prowess to please his entire harem. So
mm-hmm.
those are other aspects also, like little aspects on the sides which come in. But
Wow
largely, yeah,
hmm.
largely it became something that wasn't good to do. And then now, over time, over the last 30 or 40 years, I mean, most of our mothers don't drink. So I would say it's in our generation that we're sort of taking it towards being socially acceptable again.
Sure
Yeah.
You
I don't
you
know
know
if that
why?
makes sense. I spoke a lot.
You know why it is coming back again? I think because if you want to drink and all, you will have to have internet, cell phone network, etc. Otherwise, other people will come and take away your alcohol with you.
Right.
So that's a very interesting point, that the Britishers and any officers that were associated with the British government, they sort of made alcohol more acceptable in urban India. Is that a reason why foreign liquors or Western liquors are more popular in urban centers rather than so many of these indigenous alcohols that are available in India, or is there another reason for why this market remains very niche for indigenous alcohol?
Yeah, so basically, niche is you and me, okay? But honestly, everyone is drinking these local alcohols. It's just us, the 10% who is educated, urban.
Yeah.
But so it's not a niche market at all. I mean, most 90% of the country is drinking this alcohol. But हम जो है ना, जो इन चीजों को
Opinion
अभी
makers.
discover कर रहे हैं, opinion makers, we are rediscovering these lost
Yeah. Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And so we think the market is niche. No, but coming to what you're asking, yeah, I think it is that it is two pronged. Okay, one is that we have sort of moved away from our cultural practices and moved into like an urban lifestyle with a Western education, which regards anything quote unquote local or native as you know being not as good. So our Western education
Yeah.
has made us think कि जो देसी है
हाँ.
वो उतना cool नहीं है. And again, it's the second thing. So that is one side of it. That the fact that we as a generation are sort of divorced from our roots because we have moved away from the villages. We are living in the cities. We are not exposed to the making of such alcohols in our neighbor's house, for example. मतलब city में कहाँ बनता है? If you, for example, were staying in the village, you would have been exposed to it from childhood, and it perhaps would have been acceptable for you to drink it. But yeah, so that is one. The entire middle class Indian aspiration to 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 buy things which have come from the West, to buy things which have the stamp of approval of the upper class. So you see, it's painted as aspirational. These.
Yeah.
That is one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is also that a lot of these local alcohols are largely illegal. The making of them and the selling of them is illegal. So you obviously, like, I am not going to go and find, like, and as someone who's, as a young person who just started drinking, who's in college, you're not going to go and look for something that's illegal because you're already scared. Okay, I'm going to drink alcohol. मम्मी पापा को पता चल जाएगा. उसके ऊपर से आप कहीं illegal चीज ढूंढने जाओगे तो मतलब मम्मी पापा और jail में फिर बैठोगे तो you can imagine what it's going to be. So you obviously go for the option which is available in the daru ki dukaan, which is available in the wine shop and you buy that and you drink it. You're not going to go looking for mahua. You will, like, if you're in college, first year of college, and you've just turned 18 and you're like, okay, I want to try this with my friends. You're not going to go looking for mahua. You're going to go looking for something that is in your head, quote unquote, legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a function of these various aspects.
Yeah. So our the sort of broad mission statement of our podcast since the beginning has been to make desi food and desi anything food related desi, to make it cool again, to get that pride back in that again. It's sounds very Trumpian, like make Indian food great again, but I think
desi great again.
Make desi great again. So that's, I think that's exactly why we want to talk about indigenous alcohols. And when I mentioned niche, just to clarify, I meant that, for example, an alcohol that is drank in Tons Valley will be niche to that region. Collectively, indigenous alcohols might not be niche. So what stops that alcohol in Tons Valley from becoming, say, as popular as Irish whiskey, which was also initially drank by a small group of people in Ireland, and then some entrepreneur came in and marketed it to the entire world? What stops this entrepreneur from coming in and marketing a Tons Valley alcohol to the entire world?
simply the fact that it's illegal to make it. If the laws
Okay.
change, if the red tapeism becomes a little less. See, I mean, I'll tell you this, okay?
Yeah.
For my honeymoon, I went to Islay. I went to Scotland.
Yeah.
I went to Islay, and we spent like a week over there, going to a different distillery every day and having a, experiencing one single malt.
Wow.
I don't see why we can't do something like that here.
Exactly.
What is stopping
Yeah.
us from being like
Yeah.
putting our Desi Daru up on the map? Because honestly, and a lot of our indigenous alcohol, because people have this thing ki matlab uska taste kaise hoga, how will it be? A lot of it is fantastic. It is, I mean, it can give, it's great competition for anything that comes in a bottle, because it's, India was one of the first places, and this is from research. One can tell, it was most likely one of the first places where the process of distillation was discovered. So we were one of the first people making alcohol. We have the know-how. We like, whether it's the Indus Valley civilization, or it's like, you come a little later to say about, the when we moved into the Gangetic Basin, there have been findings. They have been discoveries. There have been you know excavations which have given us proof that okay, look, this vessel was used to distill things, and that is probably alcohol. We have it written in our Vedas, in our sutras, so we have the know-how. I don't know why we aren't more proud of what we make here. I'm sorry, my cat is meowing again.
That's okay. Adds to the vibe.
We
He's
have
also
dogs as
agreeing
well.
with us. I'm sure
On
he's also agreeing with us.
on that, इतनी अल्कोहल की बात हो गई है और पीछे से कैट भी बुला रहे। मेरे को तो सुन सुन के बाओ बाई कुछ हो रहा है। Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we'll have a lot more discussions and questions for you, Shubha.
Yay, okay.
Okay, welcome back. थोड़ा सा मैं नींबू पानी थोड़ा साथ में रख लिया है, तो मैं नींबू पानी पीते पीते बातें सुनूंगा अब।
नींबू पानी रखा है कि और कुछ रखा है? और कुछ नहीं रखा?
नहीं, बस नींबू पानी
डिस्कशन से इंस्पायर होके।
This is very
नहीं।
unfair. हम चीजें कर रहे हैं, बात कर रहे हैं अलग अलग चीजों की, और पी रहे हैं नींबू पानी और
फर्मेंटेड
जिंजर
नींबू
लेमन
पानी
टी.
लिया है। फर्मेंटेड नींबू पानी ले लिया है। Is it an alcohol which is made up of नींबू as well, or is it just kombucha?
कंबूचा में भी नींबू नहीं पड़ता. वो खटास is from that SCOBY, which acts on the sugar.
Yeah.
No, I'm assuming there must be some kombucha out of lemon as well. I haven't had.
Of course, you can flavor it. You can flavor it with
Flavor
lemon
it, yeah.
after that. Yeah.
हाँ, नींबू से कुछ नहीं बनता alcohol.
But you have you can take lemon peels and put them into your bottle of vodka, and
Correct.
you then later mix it with syrup, and that makes great limoncello. So
Yeah.
that is an option. Lemon flavored, infused with lemon peel. Yes.
Yeah.
आजकल वो देसी जिन बन रहा है ना. I'm sure people are also trying lemon gin. कुछ तो कही
Right.
देंगे लोग.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, briefly coming back to indigenous alcohols, I was just wondering, right now they are very artisanal, as you rightly said. And with things that are artisanal, there is sort of a feedback mechanism between the consumers and the producer. मतलब अगर हम छोटी community में कुछ produce करते हैं, तो we have to put our heart into it. नहीं तो we sort of will be socially ostracized from the community, or people will look down at us. When you are producing alcohol at a big corporation, you are sort of not directly engaging with the consumer, so you don't know them personally, you don't know their children, so you can maybe add say extra sugar to it, or something which is slightly more harmful. But when you're doing it in an artisanal way in a community, you would ensure that the quality is top notch.
Right.
Now my question is that eventually, if say, let's assume the legality of indigenous alcohols changes, and some entrepreneur starts producing it in a large factory at scale, do you think the quality will be affected, or do you think we can still take that small batch quality into a large scale and market it to the rest of the world?
That's very interesting. And I think there are two ways to look at this. One is you see places and people who have successfully taken what would have been small scale at one point of time and made it big. I go back to the distilleries in Scotland and what they have done with the various malts. So each distillery has their own way of processing their malt. They process a certain amount every day, but they're very focused on keeping it true to its original form. On keeping it true to its flavors. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure if done with a certain amount of respect for the produce and the product, one can make this into a large scale operation.
Mhm.
At the same time, uh, it's uh, there is this other side to it. The minute you take things away, like right now, it's made, matlab, घर घर में बनता है, right? You have,
Mhm.
for example, the women making handia. I mean, in the case of fermented alcohols, you will have to make it locally. वो मतलब 3 दिन से ज़्यादा, you after 6 days you might not be able to consume it. तो उनका large
Got it.
scale production
Hmm.
करना as it is difficult.
Yeah,
But even
yeah.
over here, for example, when we distill the kachi, there's kachi which is made of mandua, which is your ragi. Or there's kachi which is made of amaranth, which is
Mhm.
cholai, and there's kachi which is made of jowar. Different kinds.
Mhm.
Either it's made purely from one thing or it's made with a mix of things. Depending on the season, उसमें additional चीजें भी जाती हैं, जैसे कि summers में fruits चले गए. यहाँ
अच्छा.
पे जो
Hmm.
locally,
Hmm.
peaches, apples जो grow होते हैं वो भी डल गए.
Hmm.
So that depends entirely on the maker.
Hmm.
कि इस गांव में ये बंदा ऐसे बनाता है,
Hmm.
and his kachi is different from what you'll get made by somebody else in another gaon.
Mhm.
So you will lose that. You will lose you it's like I mean, compare घर घर का अचार with commercial अचार. Commercial अचार tastes a certain way.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
um, XYZ large corporation making achar tastes a certain way. But when
Hmm.
you talk about achar which is being made by a grandmother or a
Hmm.
mother in a home, every home has its own flavor. So you
Yeah,
sort of lose those individual
yeah,
personal touch to it. Then it becomes
yeah,
this one standardized product, which
yeah,
unless you are careful about doing it batch by, like, do small batches,
yeah,
and with the season change it a little, as to how the locals would do it, or get
yeah.
locals to come and train or actually do that.
Hmm.
So there is that danger of the varieties, the variations, not the varieties, the variations getting lost if you make it a commercial venture.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's again two pronged. It depends on who's doing it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
depends on, if it's somebody who's just into making profits and making it big commercially. Yeah, you probably lose the magic of
yeah,
artisanal stuff. But if it's someone who's
yeah,
doing it for the love of alcohol and still aware of and still in touch with the artisanal practices and
yeah,
making sure to replicate that
yeah,
on a larger scale, then it would work.
yeah. Hopefully, some entrepreneurs listening to this and they will take up the opportunity.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
In Goa, for example, you have Desmond G. They're doing
yeah.
local liquors. They've
Hmm.
done they're working with the Mahua,
Hmm.
and I think they're doing a very they are very conscious of the community
Hmm.
and the,
Hmm.
the quality. So they are making an effort to bring Mahua to the world.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there are people who are working in these spaces, and let's hope they meet with great success, and pave the way for more.
Absolutely. And so ये हो गया indigenous alcohol की बातें. Uh, whoever, as Sadaf mentioned in the beginning, and you also elaborated, you have very interesting career and professional life. So just curious to know, what all projects are you working on right now?
Okay, so my life is a mix of things, and
Hmm.
I sometimes like I sometimes feel, they say a rolling stone gathers no moss, but in my case, it's ulta. I feel that I get more by doing more.
Hmm.
So people ask me, what do you actually do?
Hmm.
So I say I do food research, I direct shows, I write shows, and at the same time, I also write fiction. So there are a couple of,
Ah.
as in fiction in the sense screenplays
Got it.
for web series and
Wow.
like yeah, I've just recently written something which will be out in June. It's part of an anthology of short films for Netflix. So that is fiction. That's
Wow.
entirely fiction. It's a love story.
Mhm.
It's got nothing to do with food. No, so that is one side of what I do.
Uh-huh.
And the other side of what I do is, of course, my passion, my food and research around food and
Mhm.
stories around food and creating food content. So we're working on a new food show, and so that's a second thing I'm doing, and the third thing is that is a longer project which has been
Hmm.
going on for the last 3 years. Is a book I've been working on,
Sure.
which tries to document recipes from around the country from my travels, which I've collected over the last 10 years, and tell their stories and tell the story of India through them. So that is
Lovely.
yeah, that's a long term project. My editor is always completely fed up with me.
Hmm.
I keep pushing deadlines, and I keep taking longer than I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
But it's a massive task to I mean, I think I was foolish to take on writing the story of India through food, because it's a story that spans millions of years, not just thousands.
Yeah.
And it takes one time to be happy with what one is putting down, what to leave out, like what do you not put down, matlab itna kuch hai. The basically making the choice between what to keep and what not to keep is what is taking the most time, I think.
Hmm.
Because what do you leave out? And the book can only be this long, na? It can't be like 20 volumes, फिर कौन पढ़ेगा?
Yeah. Yeah. हम पढ़ेंगे.
It would be like multiple volumes of, how Aine Akbari is there, right? So there are multiple
Hey
volumes. So you can have like,
Bhagwan.
Yeah.
you could also have like something like Aine Shubha, volume 1, volume 2, volume
Right.
3.
Yeah. I mean, this is fascinating. It's so vast, the breadth of what you're doing. You're also in Tons Valley, and I read on your Instagram that you run something called Tons Valley Shop. Tell us something
Right.
about that as well.
So, Tons Valley Shop is basically a product of 2020 and COVID.
Hmm. Ah.
Where we stay in the Tons Valley it's a very remote area.
Hmm.
I am here because of my husband. He's been based here for the last 8 years,
Mhm.
and he works out of here. And he runs a non-profit here, and at the same time, he runs a sustainable travel company. Now, what happened last year was that travel completely shut down.
Mhm.
And this is an area which it's like a dead end. Nobody comes here,
Mhm.
and because nobody comes here unless they're coming to travel and to do treks and stuff, which is what we were trying to engage people with, there is no income coming in. Okay, so while the villagers are sort of like self-sustainable in the sense that they grow what they eat, and they barter with each other, so they can get along. There is no income coming into this area at all.
Mhm.
So, for example, if somebody falls sick and they have to go down to Dehradun and they have to get admitted in the hospital, they have to take a loan to do so, because paise kahan se aayenge? Matlab, you're just growing your stuff and eating it. There's no way to earn income. So, and last year, with the travel stopping in, because travel was the only income which would come in here. With the travel stopping, we found that the entire community was suffering. दैट कि कोई मतलब गाइड्स जो है, माउंटेन गाइड्स, वो बैठे थे कि कहाँ से पैसा आएगा, जिनकी भेड़ बकरी है वो उनको चरा रहे हैं, बट दे डोंट हैव एनी medicines with which to keep the animals healthy, so the quality of the animals is also going down, मर रहे हैं. They the vegetables which would come from the larger cities, जो प्लेन से आती थी सब्जियां, because winters में यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं grow होता है, that stopped coming, for example. So there was a lot of loopholes. So what we tried to do was, we in tandem, like with working with the locals, we started to sell the produce we grow here out to the entire country. Like, for example, there's a lot of apple that grows here, and in the apple season, you have like, apple season is July. July is when we were still in lockdown, and the local farmers over here, the local apple growers, they were like, "Hum kaise bechenge?" the closest mandi is 8 hours away in Dehradun, and there are like hazard restrictions to go down there and sell their apples. So they're like, our apples will go waste, our entire crop will go waste. As it is, इस साल कुछ पैसे नहीं आए हैं. So we sort of worked on a system where we sent apple boxes, around the country. So we got people to pre-book these boxes, and then we would send them apples. And it so happened that we managed to send out 25.5 tons. That's like 25,500 kilos of apples out of here, which brought income in. So that is basically what started the Tons Valley shop and this entire social entrepreneurship thing. And now we are sending out more produce, so like we have mandua over here, the local salts we have these beautiful local flavored salts, the ghee that we have over here. So we're sending it. So we have this online portal where people can order, and we are sort of like the go-between. We work with the locals, collect the stuff from them, package it, and then send it out to whoever's buying it.
Sure. That's a very noble initiative, and we will definitely link the website in the show notes so that our listeners can check it out. And I'm on the website; it looks fantastic. So our listeners do check it out. TonsValley.shop.
And you could order, because you are in love with millets, so you could of course order millets.
Oh yeah.
So Archit,
I'm a huge millets person. I eat
Really?
ragi roti for lunch every day. So I will definitely order.
Amazing. We have lots of ragi.
हमारे घर पे तो मिलता ही नहीं है. हमें तो नहीं मिलता है.
हम आपको राजमा भिजवा देंगे. हमारे राजमा भी बहुत अच्छे हैं.
No, my mother is like, so a couple of days back we were talking about diabetes. We say okay. So one of my friends came over and like कि तुमने कैसे कम किया वगैरह वेट कैसे कम कर लिया. लाइक कि मैंने ना आटा छोड़ दिया, मैंने चावल छोड़ दिया, ये वो फलाना ढिमकाना कर दिया. सर अच्छी बात है. And then one thing he said to my father, so what did you eat? So he said कि I ate almond flour का roti with flax seeds and all, because that helps. So okay. And I was like, हाँ. My father like, oh, we should also try. I never like, yeah, please, let it be. मतलब like let's just first start with ज्वार बाजरा. पहले ज्वार बाजरा रागी से start करते हैं ना. अगर if you are so much of तो पहले दिन क्या हुआ? I have the 3-4 महीने पहले I got बाजरा, whole बाजरा जो कि रखा हुआ था. Nobody used it. And मैं भूल गया यूज करना. सडनली निकला. मैं मतलब हाँ कल बनेगा. तो एक दिन बना, बिल्कुल भी मतलब not so wonderful बना. We still managed to eat it. अगले दिन से खत्म हो गई. सब जो बिल्कुल अरे हम खाएंगे, we'll have सब रखा गया बिल्कुल. लाइक प्लीज रहने दो, कोई नहीं खाने वाला है यहाँ पे. हाँ, all the plans.
मैंने I eat bajra as well along with ragi. तो मैंने was convincing one of my family members to have a bajra. He's like, मैं क्यों खाऊं बाजरा? मैं चिड़िया हूँ क्या?
तुमको ये गाना सुनाइए बाजरे का सिट्टा.
Yeah. If you go on.
The interesting thing is that पहले हम यही खाते थे. पहले हम millets ही खाते थे, हम बाजरा ही खाते थे. And it's only in the last, since the green revolution that we've started eating atta and gehu. And I this is a story I like to tell because I hope you're not overshooting time. I'll tell the story because
it's
just
for millets you can have as much time as you want.
It just goes to show the impact of what changing your diet can do. So we did a study. हम लोग का यहाँ पे जो non-profit है, it works in areas of public health. So we did a study in this area where we compared 2 generations of women, and we were seeing the various जो levels होते हैं ना, like do like a blood test and see.
Yeah.
So one of the things we were checking was the iron. Okay, there's a lot of malnutrition amongst women over here. So ये पता चला कि the older generation of women, none of them were anemic. All of them were, robust, healthy. उनका 11-12 तक hemoglobin था. And the younger generation of women, they were all anemic. In fact, we even had a woman जिसका hemoglobin level 3, it was 3, brought into our hospital.
Wow.
So what is the difference? The difference is basically the diet, because the older generation still has their millets. The younger generation has started having a lot more safed chawal and gehu, which is given by the public distribution system. And वो जो grow कर रहे हैं millets, amaranth, वो ज़्यादातर बिक जा रहा
Yeah.
है, because everyone in the big cities is like, ooh,
Yeah.
millets, right? So yeah, so all of that is being sold. So they're eating what they get from the public distribution system for free. And जो वो grow कर रहे हैं, वो बेच रहे हैं because it gives them some
Correct.
money. So this is that change in diet which is completely, um, deteriorated your health in one generation. So it's really sad to see this, and it's important to understand that what you traditionally eat is inherently good for you.
Absolutely. This is again a recurring theme of our podcast. We talk about this on almost every episode, that you should eat whatever's traditional for your community. And we have an exactly one of our episodes. In fact, one or two of our episodes are on this topic of why and how roti shifted from being made of millets and multiple other flours to now mostly of wheat because of the PDS system, green revolution,
Yes.
and whatnot. So that's actually one of our first few episodes on roti. So our listeners and you as well, if you get time, do check it out.
Check
Of
it
course,
out.
I most certainly shall.
On that, we'll take our final break and then come back with at least my favorite segment, which is under, overrated, and favorite as well.
And we're back into my favorite part of the show. This is my favorite because हर एपिसोड में कुछ अनोखी डिशेस, अनोखी टाइप्स ऑफ रेसिपीज के बारे में पता चलता है. सो सदफ, यू वांट टेक दिस?
यस, बहुत बहुत बोल लिया भाई साहब आपने. अब आप जाए थोड़ा सा, जाए क्रिकेट खेल के आए बाहर और तब तक मैं बातें करता हूँ. So Shubha, yes, please wear mask as well. We want to Shubha, we'll talk about alcohol only. Most favorite alcohol? Desi, all desi.
Mera? Okay. So I've become a fan of the kachi that we have here in the Tons Valley. It's actually delicious. So yeah, I would say that's my most favorite desi alcohol, but I have 2-3 more. Can I also say?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I love
more the merrier.
I love the chang that we have in. I've had it in Sikkim. In these big mugs. There's a and through the fermented millets, like you put in your straw and you suck it out. It's delicious again, and honestly, I've had mahua just twice in my life, but I've really liked it. So I think that would be a third. I actually had it. I'll tell you where I've had great mahua. I was in Chhattisgarh in Kanker. With the royal family of Kanker, okay, and उनके पास जो mahua था, I don't know कहाँ से आया था, but it was spectacular. We in fact even made mahua chicken with that mahua, and चावल भी हमने mahua में पकाया था with fresh mahua flowers. So it was delicious. So yeah,
lovely.
So great memory and yeah, lovely mahua.
Super.
Mix of everything. So you said kachi, and then usse pehle you have mentioned that you do make kachi out of amaranth, ragi, and jowar.
Right.
So what is your favorite? Tino ka ya fir koi ek specific ingredient?
Amaranth is the best. Amaranth wala is really nice over here. It's basically a clear liquid, So it is almost like you're looking at a bottle of vodka. Just that it doesn't come in a fancy glass bottle. यहाँ पे जो भी पुराना bottle मिलता है उसमें डाल के देते हैं. But the amaranth kachi is spectacular.
What
it's like
if people have to, I'm thinking if people have to understand the flavor profile of that.
So it is like I was saying, it's like the Czechoslovakian rakia. Matlab, you have it and you feel this rush of warmth. I'm in a very cold area, as you can see. So the first thing you feel, you take like a shot of it, and you feel puri, matlab, chehre pe, the warmth spreading. You can almost feel that redness, traveling along your face to your fingers, and you become warm. So that is a great feeling. The taste is sort of like sweetish, and like a gentle sweetness to it, and it's a little fruity. हल्का सा एक fruity sweetness जो होता है, but it's not like उसमें वो fermented वो नहीं आता, you know, you don't get that, no sourness, no the sense of like rotting fruit का वो एक बिल्कुल नहीं आता because it's distilled, and
Correct.
so it's, you just have an underlying layer of fruit and this sweetness to it. It mixes well
Interesting.
also. I've had it
And
with Diet Coke. It mixes very well with Diet Coke.
oh,
Oh.
well, that's like a tip for people. So, and overrated. This could be any alcohol. मतलब
Overrated.
foreign liquor भी चलेगा.
Huh.
Let's bash
Okay.
foreign liquor.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm sorry. I know people are going to hate me for it, but I'm not a lover of gin. Okay. And I know gin is like the coolest thing these days,
Yeah.
and you know, there's like different
It's
kinds of gin
it.
being made, and it's amazing. Like, yeah. But I am not the biggest fan of gin. I've had great gin. I have been to like, you know, places in like around the world where you just have the most beautiful gins being, you know, distilled and served. But personally, and I think this is an entirely personal thing, I'm not a fan of gin. I love the gin and tonic story, which is your story, you know, in you must have heard of it, like how tonic water
Yeah.
was had in the army ranks in the Madras, you know,
Yeah.
regiment, and they say it like in Bangalore because it quinine was added to water because of the high incidence of malaria, and this was
Malaria.
given to the soldiers. So yeah, so to make the tonic water taste better and make it go down, because quinine is like very bitter, they added some gin to it, and that's how gin and tonic started. So I love that story. I'm not in love with gin, with gyms also, but not in love with gin. So yeah.
Uh, and underrated. And no, it can't be kachi.
Underrated? Can this be like an indigenous
Yeah.
alcohol?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Apart from kachi, because kachi is your favorite. So apart from that, any other underrated one?
Haha. Underrated alcohol from India. I am just thinking, which one is underrated?
To me, I think all of them are underrated in a way. Even Kachi is underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
So
even
one
something
like
as popular as Fenny is underrated.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love having Fenny with coconut water. It's delicious. I mean, there's you can make so many different cocktails out of these indigenous alcohols also. So I think
true,
they were
true.
all underrated actually,
Mhm.
you know,
All of
because
them.
they're quite amazing.
हाँ,
Yeah,
wow. That
all
was
of
also
the
one.
above.
All of them. सारे के सारे जो है underrated हैं. अच्छा. Any other if you're an MP, because you are from Bhopal, if you're an MP, what alcohol people should try in MP if they can get hold?
You know, somehow I haven't really had any local alcohol in MP. This could probably be because when I go to MP, I go back home, and when I go home, I don't drink that much. You know, you
मम्मी
because mummy papa
मम्मी
है और
मारेगी.
दादा दादी है. हाँ, तो MP के alcohols मैंने explore नहीं किए हैं ज़्यादा. But I believe you have the संतरा, and you know you have your mahua liquors and all. But I honestly will not
Yeah.
know too much about the alcohols of MP. And
अच्छा.
Bhopal in itself, I don't think has any particular alcohol that is famous. Like you just hear desi daru, you just hear tharda. Those are the things I haven't. Like for example, in Rajasthan, you have the kesar kasturi, you know, which people know about. But Bhopal में मैंने ज़्यादा ऐसा सुना नहीं है, इन्वेस्टिगेट भी नहीं किया है. करना पड़ेगा, इसके बाद जाके मैं होमवर्क करती हूँ.
तो घर पे ही है तो क्या इन्वेस्टिगेट भी क्या करना है? इन्वेस्टिगेशन से भी मालूम चल गया मम्मी को, तो उसी मारेंगे मम्मी, क्या कर रहे हो ये? On that happy high note, दुकान बढ़ाते हैं और
But you
जिसको
know,
इंटॉक्सिकेट होना है हो
honestly,
जाए.
my mother.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. So my mother is a psychiatrist. Okay, I think I should ask her because a lot of people come to her for de-addiction from alcohol तो मुझे उनको पूछना चाहिए कि क्या क्या मिलता है, क्योंकि उनके सारे पेशेंट्स वही वही पीते होंगे जो एडिक्शन के लिए आते हैं. आई शुड एक्चुअली आस्क.
कौन सा ज्यादा इम्पैक्टफुल होता है, किस कौन सा
हाँ.
जल्दी छूट जाता है, कौन सा लंबा चलता है?
It's like asking a police officer कि इस एरिया में सबसे ज्यादा क्राइम कौन से हैं.
यहाँ पे क्या चीजें स्मगल होती है.
वंडरफुल. ऑलराइट, विद दैट हम दुकान बढ़ाते हैं, शटर डाउन करते हैं और बोतला शराबियां खोल लेते हैं. well, जिसको खोलना है खोलो, जिसको नहीं खोलना है मत खोलो. Your business is your business, none of our business. All right. Thank you, Shubhra.